Much. The first collaboration that I'm aware of that we engaged in, we at NOAA engaged in with the WGA was at the request of WGA to provide better information about drought. In response to that request, we created something called the National Integrated Drought Information System, or NIDIS. That's a partnership across a number of different agencies, focused on the West initially, and then it was so helpful and useful that the southern part of the U.S. said, hey, we're here too, we have drought issues, please can you help us as well? So I think that was the initial interaction, and I think NOAA was able to provide useful information about drought that could help decision makers in western states, and that success has led us to believe that there are other very productive ways that we can partner together. We obviously already provide a lot of weather information and long-term weather or climate information, but we're trying to, at NOAA, increase the quality and effectiveness of this longer-term weather and climate information. But to do so, we need to know what is going to be most helpful and useful, for example, in the western part of the U.S. And so this agreement will help us identify those areas where we can collaborate together, understanding that there will be other partners in the mix as well, other federal agencies, for example, possibly private sector. But we're very excited about this partnership.
Doctor, you might explain whether or not we provide that, some of that additional information to the western provinces of Canada?
We do indeed provide that information essentially to anyone. It's available to anyone. It is directly relevant to Western Canada, and we currently have very excellent rapport with Canadians, not only the states and the provinces, but also our weather service providers communicate with one another routinely. Because sometimes our weather affects Canada, sometimes Canadian weather affects us, so it's good that we have that kind of collaboration. So I think this is the kind of partnership that will bring multiple benefits.
Dr. Lubchenco, do you think that as a result of this input from the Western Governors Association, that NOAA will be gathering or distributing any different types of information than you have been in the past? Is there more information that's going to go out?
We currently have a wealth of information that we are gathering, whether it's from our weather satellites or our on-the-ground observing systems or buoys in the water. What we are trying to do with this particular service is put that information together in ways that are most useful for decision makers, for preparing for some of the extreme events that we've seen this year, for example. Or enabling new private sector businesses to do what we've seen in the weather enterprise, which is to take the basic information that NOAA provides, add value, and create a new business. We've seen the Weather Channel, for example, or AccuWeather, and a lot of other private weather providers take the core information, add value, and distribute that. That private weather enterprise is now $1 billion enterprise, and especially now in this era where everyone is interested in creating new jobs, this, we believe, will be a potential source of new business opportunities for the private sector, again, to add value to the basic longer term, longer than 2-week weather and climate information that we will be preparing through this new partnership. The Governor has reminded me that there is a key piece of information that's directly relevant here. NOAA's ability to provide the quality weather forecast that we do today depends very heavily on our weather satellites. Those weather satellites provide over 90% of the data that go into our weather models. Because of the current funding situation in Washington, D.C., we are faced with a situation where we did not receive the funds we needed for a new satellite in the instruments that was to be launched in a couple of years in the FY11 budget. As a consequence, we are likely facing a gap in time, starting probably as early as 2016, where we will not have the ability to do the severe storm warnings. That, for example, 5 days out, we warned Mississippi and Alabama about the severe tornadoes that were on the way. Very severe snowstorms, a number of days out, 5 to 10 days out, allows emergency managers to prepare. We won't be able to do those kinds of forecasts or the longer term weather forecasts with anywhere near the caliber, the quality that we do today. We'll be going back in time to something more on the order of maybe 20 years ago. So it's a significant step back. The funding for this satellite program is before Congress now. It's part of the FY12 budget that is under consideration on the Hill. And we believe that this is a national issue and one of national preparedness. So we are gravely concerned about the potential risk to lives and property should we not get the funding in FY12 for this particular weather satellite that is so essential for what we do. We have a satellite in space that is providing this now. The issue is not right now, it's down the road. When that satellite and its replacement have run their course, we don't have the funds now for the next one that would be up to be launched and providing the same kind of service.
Thank you. Harry, you got anything you want to add to that?
Well, I'm not going to add anything other than say I think all of us probably understand how important it is to be able to predict the future. And when it comes to weather, I have a son who's a meteorologist and a weatherman, and I know to get 3 to 5 days advance notice on weather is really key for us for so many different reasons. We see the flooding that's taking place, to be able to predict snow melt flows that are going to be coming out of the mountains for our rivers and streams, and be able to anticipate that and manage the water from snow melt from the mountaintops to reservoirs into the irrigation system that we have in Utah is really critical. All of us, when we watch the news, the most important thing we watch probably is what's the 5-day prediction, for the weather. So this agreement we have here with NOAA is going to help us all function better and manage the taxpayers' resources better, which is the end result of this, and that's why it's important.